India's financial planning and wealth narrative is changing, and at the center of this transformation stands a powerful yet often overlooked segment, the middle net worth individual. At Global Financial Planners Summit 2025, a no sales, no sponsors, no stalls gathering for the financial advisory community, experts explore diversified wealth strategies for MNIs with a special focus on real estate advisory as an integral part of holistic financial planning. The summit showcased how innovation, ethics and collaboration can empower advisors to diversify and strengthen MNI portfolios. Setting the tone for an engaging day of insights and exchange, the summit began with the opening address by Keval Bhanushali, CEO and co-founder One Finance.
Today, when we are talking about this entire event, it's Global Financial Planners Summit. And why is it a financial planner summit and not an investor advisor summit, right? Because we are talking about the entire financial planning gamut and not just investment planning. And this is something which all of you here and with the community, it is very important for all of us to be deliberate in our approach. Whenever we talk about financial planning, we need to ensure that we are not restricting ourselves to equity planning, investment planning, or just a certain asset class that we are interested in or we are distributors of, right? More than 60% of One Finance customers, which is more than say 160,000 customers that we have, they have real estate among top 2 or 3 goals of their life. Now, as a financial planner, why do we limit ourselves in advising them only an investment plan that takes them closer to their goal and not actually leading them through the entire journey, right? So with this entire initiative of adding real estate as a part of your financial planning, we wanted to ensure that the total residential real estate index, which is the first time in India that there is a company that has made a residential real estate index, and all of us either have a home or we want to have one more, or we want to have another real estate, right? And why is it important to ensure that we don't miss out on the nitty-gritties and the right advisory part? Generally क्या होता है जब भी real estate की बात करते हैं, we used to always listen कि real estate is a passive investment, it doesn't give you yield. But the fact was, अगर मैं 100 investor से मिलता हूँ, 95 of them would claim that they have made the largest gain of their life through real estate.
Up next, we have a panel discussion titled The Reality of Mumbai Realty, Real Estate Advisory, where experts discuss how real estate offers stability and long-term value for middle net worth individuals, making it a key component of a diversified portfolio. They will also explore how real estate can integrate with equity, debt and alternative assets, helping investors achieve balance, liquidity and sustained growth.
How do you think the real estate piece aligning to the overall wealth planning or financial planning segment of the today's investor?
Globally, if you put the top 5 consulting firms, they would be about $120 billion just as fees.
No, that's
between CBRE, Cushman, JLL, Colliers.
And they are mostly, they are all buyer's side, right?
So, and India's story has not just started.
Right.
It's just at the cusp of the growth. So I think it's extremely important sector. In New York, the average residential house is really $2,000 per square feet. By the way, Mumbai is cheap. It's about $1 lakh.
I think this is quite a big misnomer that we generally quote that Mumbai is very expensive, or rather the Indian market is very expensive. It's not. Like
It's
you talk
not.
about New York, you talk about Tokyo, you talk about a lot of
So
other
you go
countries.
to all financial capitals of the world, from Tokyo to Singapore, and now even Dubai, downtown Business Bay, etc., all the way to London and New York, even though they are suffering in terms of real estate, they're still $2,000 per square feet. Right. So we still have about $70,000 to catch up in Bombay market. So and we are just $3 trillion. I mean, the moment we become $6 or $7 trillion, the game will be very different.
I really want to understand with REITs coming in as at parallel with equities. Last month when in the new circular, the taxation part or the entire parity was brought down. But how do you see as manufacturers of real estate products, and also Kamlesh, if you may add on, where do you see REITs playing in, or will there be a more structured approach to the commercial real estate part and the REITs part of it?
Real estate has beautiful advantage of being underlying asset, but that could be also disadvantage because you can't enter and exit very quickly to monetize and to get that profit off the table if you are sitting on an alpha. And coming to the residential REIT, we are still, I think Sanjay ji will agree, we are still not there yet because of the governance issues and the policies which are being still discovered or being framed. But commercial REIT, yes, we have. There are certain issues of entry and taxation while exiting these REITs. But I see once these things are ironed out, we have a huge, huge scope and potential that the investor who does not have option to buy the entire asset class can proportionately enter into the smaller segment by way of REITs and enjoy best of both the worlds.
It's the time of the event where we'll be unveiling Volume 2 of The Reality of Mumbai Realty.
As India's financial landscape evolves, investors are seeking smarter, simpler, and more sustainable ways to build wealth. Up next, experts decode how passive strategies are reshaping investment behavior and enabling long-term financial growth in the panel discussion themed Passive Investing and the Future of India's Wealth. Let's take a look.
The second famous launch of a multi-asset passive fund, of course, is by the gentleman next to me, Vishal. So can you talk us through why you launched it, what the construct is, a bit more about?
Most investors, when they want to start investing, there's always that big question in your mind in terms of how much should I put in equity, how much should I put in debt, how much should I put in commodities, right? The product that we came out with, we said that, look, large cap 30%, mid cap 30%, gold 25%, debt, which is 8 to 13-year gilt, will be 15%. Very clear strategy in terms of, what the asset allocation is. The fund will be rebalanced only if any of the assets breach a 5% limit on either side.
How you look at passive funds, so far the argument is always cost, low cost, low cost, low cost. You've had, investors in your passive schemes for many, many years. Do you find people to be more sticky with them? Is it that it takes the cognitive load off, that if your fund is underperforming, passive is better, because by definition it can't underperform? So have you seen that?
When it starts with the question asking you, how can you invest long term with active because the fund may or may not be there? The index is the only constant. You said, boss, ye kya ho raha hai? Because that is the truth. That's where it starts. But sooner we control our bias and get out of what is right for the customer, the easier it becomes. We are fighting so many biases. The moment I start talking about passive, the whole world will say, "Arey, active ka banda passive kaise baat kar raha hai?" They're two different businesses. And let me tell you, running the active business is extremely passive. Running the passive business is extremely active. It is mind-blowing because the product is the easiest thing to do in the passive thing. Then the capital markets take over. The liquidity of the markets take over. One wrong trade, it shows up on your screen. One wrong trade can increase your tracking error like that.
Can you give us a sneak peek into what might come, either from you guys or from the industry? What is the trajectory of passive funds going forward?
The only pure play passive fund that we at Motilal have launched would be the Nifty 500. I think that's probably the only passive fund that we have, which is philosophically true. The rest of the funds, whether it's mid cap or small cap or momentum or micro cap or thematic funds like defense, we call them active selection. What that means is you as investors or as advisors or distributors would decide, I want to bet on momentum, I want to bet on value, I want to bet on micro cap or defense. So I think it's more active in terms of selection, but the construct is passive. So we believe that, I think the future is going to be a lot more active selection.
Up next, thought leaders delve into how AI is shaping the future of wealth creation and intelligent investing in the panel discussion themed The Impact of AI in Financial Planning. Let's take a look. In India, regulation absolutely very important, which also eventually does help the investors thanks to the regulation. So your thoughts, how are you handling that angle also?
Aladdin today is housed in the Jio BlackRock JV, and which means that all the processes, the entire tech is running from India. And we are compliant with all the regulatory requirements, so to say, in terms of data and research. As well as it is super important because it has to be integrated with the Indian financial infrastructure also. And that took us a lot of time. We took about 13 to 14 months in terms of hosting this, software, or so to say, in our JV itself.
How can financial planners effectively use AI to grow their business?
Using AI to analyze your client portfolio is a very significant use case. We offer it, but this session is not about us. I think it's about how you can use that AI to both research products, analyze portfolios, rebalance portfolios. To me, that is the very solid use case of AI. There's one other thought I'll leave you with. There's what you call in AI probabilistic and deterministic. Probabilistic is, maybe you have some smart kid who will come to you and say, let me tell you these 50 customers are going to leave you, and I'll do a projection, right? And that's what I call probabilistic. Now you get very excited because he's used some metric to decide something. That is still very untested. The deterministic one, where you are analyzing a portfolio on some real parameters, that's the more specific AI use case which will thrive. And there will be no debate on that.
What about me uploading my portfolio on ChatGPT and asking it to recommend products, asking it to recommend asset allocation versus the need of a human saying, boss, ठीक है, market गिर रहा है, आप stress मत लो, आपका outlook 5 साल का है, 7 साल का है, don't worry about it. Thoughts on that?
Over the year, the technology was doing on the deterministic side of things, because we were writing programs, instructions were getting executed, and computer was doing whatever it needs to be done. Since last few years, the inductive part of the system, if you want to talk about the reasoning, it is inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. So the inductive part of the system, which is more intuitive, we have started getting the glimpse of AI adding value there. But as a human nature, those initial glimpses, we will naturally magnify it to the extent that, okay, this is done and dusted and solved problem. Right? However, it's just the fact that we got those initial glimpses. Hence, the inductive orchestration of the deductive system is now being possible with AI.
In association with Bank of Baroda के संग त्योहार की उमंग.
In association with सबसे पहले life insurance.
In association with Skoda, let's explore. In association with SBI, best है सबको पता है.
India offers such amazing opportunities for the hospitality business if you're willing to jump in it. It's crazy to say this, but there's still so much more to do, and I feel like even if you feel like you're still on the runway, there's plenty of runway to take off and do what make a difference in the industry. Uncertainties are probably the only thing that's going to be certain, and they're going to be ups and downs. It's just staying strong, riding it out, knowing that there's going to be something a positive outcome at the end of it, and but just go with the flow, and life is going to be okay.
Presented by IDFC First Bank, always you first.
मेरा इन्वेस्टमेंट डूब गया,
मेरे रिटर्न्स रुक गए,
मेरा अकाउंट हैक हो गया, अब क्या करूं?
कौन हेल्प करेगा?
कहां करूं शिकायत?
RBI के सचेत पोर्टल पर.
क्या?
हाँ, ऑनलाइन फ्रॉड्स, फेक इन्वेस्टमेंट स्कीम्स, अनऑथराइज्ड डिपॉजिट्स और अन्य फाइनेंशियल क्राइम्स की शिकायत यहाँ करें, जिससे संबंधित संस्था तक भेजा जाएगा ताकि सही कार्यवाही हो।
RBI कहता है,
सचेत रहें, सुरक्षित रहें।
I'm looking for companies which are going to grow into really good dynamic corporates of the future. And that would require not merely performance in terms of PAT or EBITDA, but this would also require good corporate governance. I lay a lot of focus in startups on ethics, integrity, corporate governance. That's important. There's a huge opportunity. We should reform ourselves. Every sector we should carry out major reforms. It should galvanize India into being a very reformed, very competitive economy, and it should also evolve India into a very innovative society.
कोई बिजनेस रजिस्टर हो गया?
यस, सिर्फ करंट अकाउंट बाकी है।
करंट अकाउंट के लिए तो SBI बेस्ट है। यूएस मशीन मिलेगा और QR कोड भी। बेस्ट कैश डिपॉजिट लिमिट, ईस्ट और वेस्ट इंडस्ट्री में बेस्ट,
सबको पता है।
SBI करंट अकाउंट बेस्ट है, सबको पता है।
Up next, we have a thought-provoking panel discussion that explores every facet of personal debt and credit advisory, from responsible borrowing to smart credit management and everything in between.
What are some important, common debt stress points that you are able to identify that people have to keep an eye on to ensure that the debt doesn't cross that line?
More than the household debt, what is important is the debt servicing ratio of the individuals. It's not the household debt of 42% which is concerning. It is the ratio of unsecured and high interest rate debt that comprises, right, of your total household debt. Now, unfortunately, in India, what we have seen is that a good 25 to 30% of the overall household debt is in unsecured. Now, when I say unsecured, it is credit cards, personal loans, BNPL, consumer loans, right? And that eventually is impacting the debt servicing ratio of individuals.
How serious is this educational inflation? How much, in your conversations with people, what are the kind of conversations you're having about the need to, take loans and EMIs for education?
A very interesting consumer trend that we are actually seeing is parents are stretching themselves, but trying to, enroll their kids to schools that are more expensive, right? And the schools that are slightly more budget are actually, have surplus capacity and, they're not finding enough parents to enroll. And that's a very interesting nuance, right? Because the common wisdom that we all feel is that fees is rising. However, the subtle underlying shift that we are noticing is the consumer is choosing to, they have 3 schools, one is at 50, one is at 1,50,000, one is at 5 lakhs.
Are you seeing P2P lending kind of integrating with traditional financial services?
So last 10 years, we have disbursed more than 17,000 crore worth of loans through our platform. The repayments have been phenomenal. There are a couple of thousand crore worth of interest rate is already given back to the lender in addition of the principal at default rate of around 3.71% till date over the whole portfolio. The way we have built our algorithm to assess the borrower, to manage the borrower and the portfolio quality which we have originated, lenders ultimately make anywhere between 12 to 15% return if they are able to understand what is the risk involved in it and how do you allocate your investments.
How advisors can help their clients navigate this India's credit space.
An advisor really has the bird's eye view and the emotional connect of the customer. They're able to say, hey, look, person, hey, Ashish, you've grown a lot in your income and you want to upgrade your lifestyle because you think that, your income has grown so tremendously over the last couple of years. So you want to take bigger bets on yourself, right? So you want to stretch yourself. Now, it sounds great because on your past capability, you are sort of placing your bets on your future, but it's not always certain, right? So, which is why, responsible borrowing is something that advisors help our customers and the financial planning ecosystem.
At GFPS 2025, the spotlight turned to truth and transformation. The event featured the premiere of Missold, a powerful documentary exposing the hidden costs of financial mis-selling and underscoring the ethical responsibility that defines true advisory practice. Let's take a look.
So when we, discuss what is it that we can do in this country to, of course, build something valuable for ourselves, we realize that the core problem is not sales. The genuine problem that exists is the misalignment of interest and incentives. That's something that the documentary, deeply talks about and covers in many aspects.
There are cases जो हम लोगों ने 5-5, 10-10 साल पुराने केसेस भी हमने सॉल्व किए हैं. So ऐसा नहीं है कि 15 डेज का टाइम निकल गया और क्लाइंट को अब हेल्प नहीं हो सकता है. This was a buyer's beware market earlier. Now it is a seller's beware market. अगर अच्छे से केस प्रेजेंट किया जाए तो yes, cases can get solved.
So Nitin used to work at an insurance company at one point of time, and he saw all of these malpractices. He resigned from there. He changed his entire business model to helping people recover the money from policies that had been missold to them. If you just go to his YouTube channel, you will see videos of farmers, hundreds of them, I think, who've been defrauded, and Nitin documents it very, very painstakingly. So actually, hats off to him and people like him.
This started as a project, but now it's become a purpose for all of us. And the objective is to create awareness. The objective is that, this topic becomes dinner table conversation.
Since it is a personal experience, I know it's a terrible feeling to lose your lifetime savings and be missold. And while you could see 5 to 7 people over here, but they are representative of more than 5 to 7 million people in our country who are going through this mis-selling menace.
One Finance is doing a lot more to take their educational initiative ahead. To talk more about it, may I invite on stage Keval Bhanushali, CEO and co-founder of One Finance, to explain the educational awareness initiative of One Finance.
India is blessed, honestly. I mean, among the emerging markets, we have to give it to the regulators, especially RBI, SEBI, IRDA. They have been able to create an environment of inclusion. If you look at the private sector banking that came in, I think the credit problem was solved by them by a very huge level and huge margins. So today I think we are going to talk about the publication. Last year also we spoke about it. The first year was the first time we started with publication. Whenever we were talking about it, people were like, "Ke books mein to margin nahi hai." There is not even a single standalone companies that you can think of where you are, making a huge amount of profits when it comes to publication as a standalone businesses. So we were like, we are not doing it per se to make money. Right? Our focus is to educate the customer for the right reason. Then in terms of research, we are very clear that we want to have qualified advice only. So how do we ensure that the QFA community is educated as well? So we started with our One Finance macro indicator. This is the only macro indicator in India that is free of cost to all the advisors. You can log into the website. You can see the entire macro indicators of the country. What economic cycle we are into, even that's there. Then we have, of course, One Finance magazine that focuses on primary research. The team is working on all kind of primary research. With that, Mubina, if we can, invite the real heroes for this segment.
The summit also unveiled a series of books under the One Finance Education Initiative, including Emotional Money by Animesh Hardia, Do You Have Enough by Bhuvana Sriram, Podcast with Chanakya by Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai in collaboration with Keval Bhanushali, Insurance Made Simple by Manju Dhake, Plan Your Wealth by Neha Nagar, The Mutual Fund Playbook by Rajni Tandale, and The Ring of Fire by Sumit Ramani.
Well, this is the moment many of you have been waiting for, the GFPS Product Recognition Showcase.
At GFPS 2025, excellence took center stage as financial experts were recognized for their integrity, innovation and impact. Awards spanned equity, debt, hybrid and key categories like insurance, NPS and credit advisory. A celebration of those shaping India's wealth story with knowledge and trust.
So let's start with the first category, mutual funds. I'd like to invite Rajni Tandale, the SVP Mutual Funds of One Finance, to present the awards and felicitate the winners. And the award for the best active equity fund goes to HDFC Flexi Cap Fund. Next up is the award for the best passive equity fund, and that goes to the Navi Nifty 50 Index Fund. And the award for the best debt fund for 1 to 3 years goes to ICICI Pru Short Term Fund. And for the best debt fund for 3 to 5 years goes to ICICI Pru All Seasons Bond Fund. And the award goes to Edelweiss Arbitrage Fund. Well, let's move on to a category that we've spoken about quite a bit. To present the awards, please welcome Manju Dhake, SVP Insurance at One Finance. And the award for Best Health Insurance Plan goes to ICICI Lombard. And the award for Best Term Insurance Plan goes to Axis Max Life Insurance. Thank you, Manju, for joining us, and congratulations to all of the winners in the insurance category. Now we turn to 3 categories that are crucial in shaping financial journeys: loans, credit cards, and NPS, or National Pension Scheme. I'd like to invite Animesh Hardia, SVP Quantitative Research at One Finance, to present these awards. And the award for Best Well-Rounded Lender goes to SBI Home Loan. The award for Best Premium All-Purpose Luxury Card, and that goes to ICICI Emerald Private Metal Card. The award for Best Mid-Tier Lifestyle Card goes to Axis Atlas Card. The award for Best NPS Product for Retirement goes to HDFC Pension Funds Management Limited. And the award for the best liquid product for passive income goes to Nexus Select Trust REIT.
At GFPS 2025, India's leading financial minds came together to shape the future of wealth. From passive investing and AI-driven advisory to the role of real estate in holistic portfolios, the summit inspired new thinking for middle net worth individuals. The documentary Missold and the One Finance Education Initiative, featuring a series of books, highlighted the need for ethics and awareness in advisory. Culminating with the GFPS 2025 awards, the summit celebrated excellence, innovation and integrity across the financial ecosystem.